Yeah, I should probably do something about that. Welcome to the Situation Room. I'm Run 7. Today is the first episode, the very first episode, numero uno, of the weekly war review. Joining me for this monumental occasion is Pathfinder Gaming. He is a celebrity. You may have seen his infographic showcase on Goofy Rexy's stream, on Mobile Gamer's stream. He's a Blitz guru, raid master, MSF analyst, turnip farmer, and non-void content creator, and only one of those that I make up just now on the spot. Pathfinder, how are you doing, my friend?
I am good, man. Thanks for having me. And definitely the true one is turnip farmer. So
Yeah, really. Okay, so what we're doing here in the war review is basically, I've received a lot of questions about offensive teams, about room placement, attack priorities, all sorts of things. So we're going to be going over hot new teams and where you should be using them in war. And we're going to be reviewing your offensive teams list, not Pathfinders, but the viewers. I'm pointing at the viewer screen here. Your guys' submitted offensive teams. So if you have offensive teams that you want reviewed, whether it would just be 1 or 14 different teams, you can send them in to me. We'll get them sliced up, look through them. We'll pick out the interesting ones and we'll talk about them here on the war review. Plus your questions, anything else you guys want to talk about in war. First up, let's switch screens here. Whoops, there we go. We're gonna go here and we are gonna talk about some room placement. I've received questions about room placement and I've got an image here on screen showing one of the more popular room placements that you see. This also has to do with attack priorities. So Pathfinder, what rooms, if all things created equal, forget this picture that you see on screen, all things created equal, what rooms do you find most valuable to attack first in war?
if you're racing, if you're racing, armory for sure. Just to slow down the other side. If you're not necessarily in a race, then I mean you could focus on things like medbay or barracks. But armory and hangar for attacking wise, that's what I would go for first.
I've recently had some people suggest to me hangar because of how it affects the different teams, and that's if you want to slow, like if you get out ahead of the other team, you can slow them down by making hangar a priority, which I thought was kind of an interesting pick. I've never looked for it. I'm old school. I still go for armory and barracks. I think those are probably the most important because of the global benefits that they provide. Now, cargo bay and hangar are the new ones, right? We've switched those around.
Oh yeah, they got the buffs recently, right?
Yes, they got the buffs, and I'm gonna switch over so I can read those buffs on a different screen. Oh, never mind. I'm in matchmaking, so I'll just have to go off of memory. Do you remember what cargo bay and hangar do? Hangar applies. What the heck does hangar do nowadays? I forget. But hangar and cargo bay just got switched with what was reactor and bridge. Now, why is it that you don't want to attack reactor and bridge first?
I don't like to attack the bridge first because I mean all it is points, right? I mean it's just big points, and it's just got the 10 positive effects. So really, you kind of want to save that towards the end.
Yeah, and kind of same thing with reactor. Now, some people are like, well, we don't full clear, so we want to go after the bridge and the reactor while we still have our big teams. And I think that's a terrible strategy. I think that no matter whether you're full clear or not, I think that you should not be attacking bridge and reactor. As you can see on this, this is one that my alliance used. We put the bridge and the reactor as a buffer that you have to go through to get to the important rooms, because rooms like armory, barracks, and medbay are so important to us. And so I think even if you're not full clearing, you shouldn't be attacking these rooms right off the bat. You should try and get through them, knock down some of the other rooms, and then make it easier to come back to bridge and reactor. And then the question really is are you communicating with your alliance well enough to understand what teams you have left, when it's time to go after bridge and reactor? If you're not full clearing. If you're full clearing, you probably have enough to do no matter, do it no matter what. So they're going to be the second to last. The very last rooms being flight decks. Would you agree with that?
And yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to clear the flight decks until the end. So the hanger is 10% to all stats for attacking war-ready allies now, and it still applies deflect to attacking allies. So the hanger and the armory are still what's going to take out the offense for the other side.
The offense for the other side. And the barracks and the cargo bay, I believe, are the defensive ones, making it easier for you to attack into them. And then the med bay is just that, 40% bonus to health, right?
Yeah, the cargo bay is just 20% to your defense.
To your defense. And that's war-ready defense, right?
Right.
Yes, okay. And then, of course, the other thing we need to talk about is security and engineering. Those are adjacent, not global. So you can see in this picture here, we've got engineering and security that are diagonal from each other, and that puts double buffs on cargo bay and double buffs on reactor. Another popular version of this is to stack engineering on top of security right down the middle, giving them the most adjacent rooms to them, usually a flight deck, or in this one, the armory underneath. And then, of course, security and engineering are then double buffed, making them very tough to take down. And a lot of times, teams alliances that don't full clear end up trying to work around those just because they're such a pain to take down. Those are some different ideas that you guys can be using. Do you have any specific things that you really enjoy doing, Pathfinder? Any different arrangements?
The ones that I've seen, I've seen engineering and security adjacent to armory, and having your big guys in the armory, and that gives your armory defense up and opposing attacking defense down. So I've seen that too, and that depending on the circumstances, that can be rough.
Right. Yeah, that would be if we were just in this picture, if we were to swap engineering down here with barracks, that would do a similar maneuver like that. I think that security is better than engineering, but they're both important. They're both important, and the security one is very strategic with characters like Kestrel, who pings on those defense downs. That can really make that team, that Secret Avenger team, much more powerful when they're in security or adjacent to it. Let's take another look at another different one here. Oh, here's the engineering stacked on top of security. See, so these ones are going to be double buffed right there.
And if you're going through the middle, like if you choose to go through the middle, which I feel like is pretty popular at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
You're gonna have some trouble getting through.
Yeah, that's one reason why this is actually a really good defense, because so many people like to go down the middle. It gives you more options, because you go down the middle, and then if it's a crappy room, you drill through it. If it's an important room or something, you can clear it and then see on either side. And it's an easier way to open up access to the entire helicarrier, rather than going down one side and then finding nothing over there, and you realize, well, I got to go down an entire new side, or go all 2 rooms across or something. So center drilling is a very popular tactic. So this is a good defense against that. If your alliance tends to get center drilled a lot, then stacking security and engineering is a really good way to go. But I think the important thing is, because there was some discussion about whether or not you should be going after bridge or reactor first. I just don't see a scenario, unless you are a baby alliance just getting into war and you really can only take down a handful of rooms. Maybe then you would go for bridge or reactor. But I think at that point, your alliance is probably just going to get creamed anyway, because they're just going to get more rooms than you.
Yeah, if you can't full clear, then you probably want to prioritize points for sure.
Yeah, I just think if our alliance, because we're a chill alliance, we usually leave a handful, 2 or 3 rooms standing every war, just because we have a lot of people that just do their 5 attack minimums and don't even care. But we still practice prioritizing the good rooms first, drilling to what's important, clearing the things that we need to clear, and then going back to bridge and reactor. And I think we have better luck doing it that way, not full clearing, still prioritizing important rooms. Okay, I want to switch over to Web Warriors. Let's switch over to Web Warriors real fast. Let's go here to this. Okay, so jump right into it. Offense or defense? Where are you putting them?
I think it depends on how long you've been playing. If you're like you or myself that's been playing for a long time, I don't necessarily think they're going to be meta enough to be on offense, unless you're, attacking 12 to 13 times a war. But if you're a newer player that's focusing on, you know, building bio for like Doom 1, then I think they're going to be a good attacking team.
Yeah, I recently put these guys in. I recently put these guys on defense, and then I was attacking into some of my teammates' teams on defense, and I found almost anything punches across into these guys. I was very surprised, however, the supernatural and hella natural don't work well on them. Which it's strange because this team doesn't have a cleanse. I mean, other than they cleanse heal block, and like I have Scarlet Spider as a healer. I don't think that's a good choice. I was testing it out because I wanted to. I don't think healer is a good choice for Scarlet Spider. It doesn't do enough healing, but it does cleanse a few bleeds. So that's the only kind of cleanse that this team has is the heal block and bad ISO bleed cleanse. So when you hit him with blind,
dodging, though, the dodges can be, if you get a bad run,
right,
you could lose to this team really quick if they start dodging all of your attacks.
Yeah. Stocky in chat saying dodgy teams add so much RNG that they should be on defense. You can cheese a D win here and there. And the thing is I hate relying on RNG, and I have found, even with those dodges, I don't know, maybe my alliance mates didn't have the right T4s in them, but I was beating them quite consecutively, quite reliably. I was beating them with just about anything on a punch across. But like I said, the one that surprised me was the Hella Naturals. I thought if you blinded them, they would just totally fold. And they do have trouble with blinds, but for some reason, and I still haven't figured it out, that team just did terrible against them, and that was a punch across too. So it is still a team.
Web Warriors or Symbiotes for offense?
Ooh, that's a good question. Right now, I definitely want my Symbiotes because they're much bigger. But this is a 450 team that we're seeing on screen, and once this team is about 550, maybe 600, I think maybe the Web Warriors might be more versatile. No, you know what? I'm still finding those Secret Avengers with Kestrel and Fury that I just love to take my symbiotes into. I can usually punch up on those teams because of the minions. There's a few others. The Doc Ock, Sinister Six teams. You can beat those pretty easy with symbiotes. I think I'd still have symbiotes on offense.
Yeah, I think they have the one thing that I wish the Web Warriors had, which is that extra speed when they, take somebody low. That's something the symbiotes definitely still have on them.
Right. You go into those matches and you're like, sweet, they're in the red. And you're like, why isn't my team speeding up? And then they get attacked and they dodge and then they go faster. And you're like, oh, that's how that works. That's right. That's right. Somebody else has to take a turn for my team to go faster. I get it. I think for me, this is an offensive team. I don't think it has a lot of war value at all. I think this is going to be my 13th or 14th team. Honestly, yeah, I just don't. I don't know what they attack into.
Lower.
Yeah. I don't see where they're gonna fit in, who they're gonna attack well. This might end up becoming a hybrid team, although they tend to lose a lot of their value when you drop one of them. You drop Spider Punk, you lose all that crit and crit damage. If you lose Miles, I believe it hinders Ghost Spider's passive. She requires all 5 for something. So. It's kind of tough. I pulled 6 red. You see that? I pulled 6 red on Punk Spider. Nice. I was so happy. Considering
having the worst luck possible.
Oh, I was there with you. I had two. I opened everything in my account, like 50 orbs, Elite 6s, everything, and I pulled 2, and I was so mad. And then I worked my way up to an Elite 4, opened it, and boom, there we go. I'm happy. Okay. Now, let's jump back to the situation room here. Here is Commander's teams. He sent these in. He's got a list of 14 different offensive teams. Again, if you guys want us to review your teams, we can do one or all of them. It's entirely up to you guys. So send those teams in and we'll take a look. Right here is a Powertron team. I don't think Ironheart needs this skirmisher unless you're just using it to place a vulnerable. I mean, none of these guys are war ready other than Ultron, and this is obviously just a cleanup team. Powertron's used for a lot of things. Bigger Powertrons can do Marauders. They can go into like aim teams. It's really just a cleanup team. Placement isn't going to matter too much. Healer is fine here. Striker. Yeah, I guess this is pretty good. You might put Raider on Falcon for some more vulnerables on this team, but really this is your 14th team for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a flight deck cleanup team.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing exciting there. Moving on, let's go to the X-Force team. I use this exclusively for mercs. Do you use this team, Pathfinder?
Yeah, I either mercenaries or if there's an Asgardian team laying around, they can be good for that too. And then, I mean, just any non-meta team, if they're big enough, can take them out.
Yeah, still kind of in the cleanup range. I found they didn't scale very well. And then, of course, you want to put all your power into X-23 and Negasonic. Negasonic against the Merc, she opens with that big hit, knocking somebody under 50%, and then you apply the vulnerable to Taskmaster with X-23, and then you apply the disrupt to the Riot Guard, and pretty much hit auto at that point, and they clear out the Mercs team. This team was originally developed to beat the Asgardians, as they were called the Gods of War at the time. And that's actually another thing I was going to talk about, was the resurgence of the Asgardians in war. I've been finding them all over the place. Have you?
I haven't personally, but if they are on defense, then just go in with this team or a symbiote team or something else and just hit auto.
Yeah. What I think is happening is I see the entire alliance will be using it, and I think what they're doing is they're trying to soak up some of the speed meta teams like Axemen and Symbiotes. Also, a lot of times you come across Asgardians that are like 400 and 500, where you have Symbiotes that are 700 and 800, and people don't want to punch down with their Symbiotes. Their X-Force isn't built up maybe big enough for the Asgardians, so it's kind of a tricky situation right now. I used to give those Asgardians automatic Fs in war defense. Now I gotta give them a higher grade. Same thing with the Doc Ock Sinister 6 teams. They soak up those speed meta teams, and if everybody's using them, you just kind of run out of stuff to attack into those teams with. Let's look at these ISOs real quick. Skirmisher, Striker's fine. Skirmisher on this. Yeah, that's okay. A lot of people used to put Raider on Negasonic. Don't do that. Most of the time, the teams you're attacking into are boosted, so she will be blocked. You will not get the crit damage no matter what. And so the Raider ISO on her is kind of a waste. I do like Skirmisher or just Striker for increase in damage. And then over here, Skirmisher on him. These are fine ISOs. Again, we're still at like team number 13, kind of a cleanup team. Okay, here is the Dad Bros. You can see the commanders left a space in the center. You want to explain to them why that is?
If you're only using them as a 4-piece, it just separates the teams, right? I mean, Longshot and Shatterstar are going to do 90% of the damage, so.
That's called placement gapping right there, so that you can't get chain attacks from one side to the other. Also, makes it easier to fill in your plug-and-play characters. We get lots of Zemos, Rhinos, Namor is another popular one for this, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's...
What's your favorite 5th? Mine's Zemo. For sure. Okay,
well, I mean, Zemo if you're wanting to punch up on somebody, but I tend to use Rhino and go after those Doom Brotherhood teams, because Rhino does the cleanse, and then you can do another cleanse, get the blind off these guys so they can get back to work real quick.
That's a good point. Would you put Shatterstar and Longshot next to him, right?
Yes, yeah, you want Shatterstar and Longshot on either side of would be Rhino in the gap here. But the thing is Magneto clumps them together anyways, so usually they're all adjacent anyway. And then if Rhino is blinded, he cleanses, and then if that didn't work, his next move you can use his special and cleanse the team again, and he'll cleanse anybody he's adjacent to. But you still want to put these guys on either side of Rhino just for maximum benefit. Be careful with this team. I see some people putting Death Pool in on the Brotherhood team, so that you can't take this team in, or at least you can't take it in with Mum, because she'll start killing off those dupes and just destroy this team. So that's one weird thing. I walked into that one. I didn't realize that they had Death Pool in on the team, and took this team in and just got crushed. So All right, let's move on to, Raider for everybody. Mum doesn't matter so much. People put him as a healer. People put him as a skirmisher, even though his dupes don't do any cleansing. Or, well, they do cleansing, but the skirmisher, the ISO doesn't carry over to his dupes, is what I'm saying. The Raider, his dupes don't crit, so the Raider doesn't help him much. It helps him directly, but not his dupes. Okay, I got some questions in chat. Oh, never mind. No, chat's just talking to itself. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, Baddock says, yes, Toad will kill one dupe. Then the Deathpool wipes out the Rhino is how that works, usually. So that's one thing you got to watch out for is the Deathpool. Okay, here is the Hydra. What is this? Hydra 3.0. I lost count of how many Hydra variants we have. Personally, I don't like Crossbones at all, no matter what. So I think on this one they should probably replace Crossbones with the taunting minion. What is it? Hydra Guard, I think, is probably the way I'd go. Now, do you use this offense for anything?
My Hydra was never built up. I even have a 7 red star Red Skull. So I pretty much just use Zemo only out of this group and plug him in. If I want to punch up a lot with X Factor, I plug him in there. He's very versatile though. He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I think with this team right here at this power level, I don't think they're going to be useful for much. Maybe drop Crossbones for Hydra Guard, drop Winter Soldier for maybe Hela, and then get these guys up into the 80s, and this is going to be a very useful, versatile team. But honestly, as is, I'd put it on defense if I were commander. Also, make them war ready. Always make your tunes war ready if you're actually going to use them. This is a team that's just above cleanup level, especially if you were to swap out some of these characters. Then it'd be a very useful team, and you'd want to make it war ready. Healer is fine. Fortifier's good there because he's going to be dying and reviving. You can also make him a skirmisher or striker because he's called in by an assist from Zemo. So there's some combo stuff there that you could decide how you want that to play out. He does some clearing, so a striker's a good choice. A lot of things.
Has a massive Hydra team.
Oh, it's ridiculous, right?
The Grenadier does some insane damage as a striker.
I know it. People were making fun of him for building that. That was crazy team.
It's insane.
Yeah, I think he was showing that off on McMole's video not too long ago, and it's, he's a Hydra guy. He's a Hydra guy. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We've got symbiotes. A lot of times I see symbiotes on defense, and I use my symbiotes to go into their symbiotes, and I can usually punch up 100k reliably by simply focusing down either their anti-venom or one of their weakest members into the red. That gives you the turn meter and gets you going. Otherwise, you can use symbiotes. Like here's a great symbiote team for going into an equivalent Asgardian team. They'll just beat them on auto. Do you use your symbiotes on offense or defense?
Right now they're on offense, but they're probably my 8th or 9th best offensive team. You mentioned earlier though, and something that I've started doing is when I see the Secret Avengers with Nick Fury and Kestrel, just go in there and take out a couple Fury minions, and the speed train gets going, and they can actually do pretty good work on Secret Avengers.
Yeah, I actually, when I go into those teams, I try not to kill the minions because they'll get healed back up, and you can just use them again for more turn meter, just knocking them back into the red. A lot of times they have that death proof on, so you got to hit them twice to kill them. And so I actually try not to kill them because it's just one more thing I need a little bit more speed, so I just pick off one again, and that team's pretty easy to wipe out. If you're using that Secret Avengers Kestrel team, you should probably take Fury off of defense. On offense, he's great because you can hit his special first, but on defense, the AI doesn't know how to run it right. And those minions are live.
Anyways, they're so versatile.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they're fun too, right? That's a fun team. And actually, we've got some interesting ones coming up here, so you'll see with the Secret Avengers what Commander's done here. Here they are, Secret Avengers. We've got gap placements again. Now, Commander's probably going to fill in something here. We've got Skirmisher, Striker, Healer. Those are really good ISOs. Probably go ahead and take this team all the way up to 2.3 on those ISOs because they're great for raids. You can't go wrong just kind of maxing these guys out. I think they're probably going to be choices for Dark Dimension. So, yeah. Now, normally it'd be Kestrel and Fury in here, but he's got a very special team. It's the last one we're going to talk about, and so that's where Kestrel is at. So if you're not going to use Kestrel on this team, Pathfinder, who else might you sub in here if you're not using Kestrel? Because I'm kind of curious what he should be doing with this team, not using Kestrel on it.
Man, I don't know. I mean, for me, what I use my Secret Avengers for is any Doom hybrid team. Because Sharon Carter can ability block, 2-turn ability block the Doom. And so, I mean, I've taken out New Warrior, Doom hybrids, the Brotherhood, Doom hybrid. I mean, I think I took out a team that had like Silver Surfer, Doom, and a couple other big characters. That, to me, this team is just so good against Doom specifically that it just makes sense to run him against that. Yeah,
it's a really versatile team, but for those kind of work, you're going to have to run Kestrel with it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And is that a Kestrel Fury, or do you use somebody else other than Fury?
I like Fury just because he gives the speed up on spawn, basically. I mean, you could run, if you're not using like your Shuri somewhere, you could start with a defense up from Shuri. And, I mean, Zemo is another plug and play character that could go with him because he starts with the clear and the ability block too.
Right, you could use Namor for the turn meter rewind, or Emma to help slow the other team down and give this team some additional cleansing. So there's lots of options. It is a very versatile team, but I agree. I do think it should be an offensive team. Chat's going nuts over here, and they're doing polls and stuff. They're really getting excited. Okay, moving on. Here is the Eternals. Now, they are spread out as far as can be because you don't want something bad to happen to both of them, so you keep as much space in between them as possible. A lot of times people are just throwing in junk. You can also do some speed meta teams, which would be Emma, Cable, Loki. You can even put Fury in on this team and use a special to help speed them up. There's all kinds of different things you can do to adjust their speed. The important thing is that you run them together and you try to get a defense up into defense down, kill somebody, and Icarus double taps. That's kind of the theme. Now, you can split them up. Now, Pathfinder, you split these up for your Blitz teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're good enough to almost 1v1 any character, especially in something like Blitz.
And in War, they don't get as cool a buffs as they do in Arena, but they're still incredibly powerful. And most people have these guys beefed up. You can put anything with these guys. I think you can put junk with them if you are able to beat the other team to the punch. It's all about who goes first with this team. As long as these Eternals are going first, you're pretty much gonna win. That's all there really is to it. Skirmisher, Striker. I see other people doing Striker on Cersei and Raider on Icarus. I don't know if that's the best way to go. I think a lot of people are getting pretty crazy with the Raider ISO these days. I know I switched my Kestrel over to Raider and I very much enjoy it, but I am not ready to switch these guys over. I like the Striker Skirmisher combo that they do. It works very well. I'm not sure that going with a different ISO would be beneficial. Do you think there's any other ISO setting you would use?
Not for me. To get a 5-tap on the basic is a lot of damage. So yeah. I think if you're using Raider on Icarus, I'm sure it's a lot of damage still. But to me, it just makes more sense as Striker, Skirmisher.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Doom. Why don't you tell you know more about Doom than I do, and you attack into it with different teams than I do and stuff. What do you use your Doom on defense or offense? Who do you put with them? Tell me about Doom.
Yeah, my Doom's on defense. Just because if you make one wrong move, he's gonna blow you up. And if you take in like the Secret Avengers that I talked about earlier, if you get him down too quickly, then he goes and blows you up. So, I mean, he's definitely good for offense. You could pair him with a lot of characters and get benefit out of it, but to me, he just makes more sense on defense.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think I've ever used him on offense, to tell you the truth. I like his versatility. I like putting him on different teams and trying to come up with new and creative ways of like keeping him cleansed with like a Squirrel Girl and like a Miss Marvel taunt over there or something, or like a shield guard that screws things up, just weird stuff that people don't normally see, just to give him the time. You can use him in like a hide the toaster kind of setup with like a Drax and a hand sentry and stuff. Of course, you know, a lot of people don't have those crappy tunes built up where they're gonna hold or anything.
Might have Invisible Woman though.
Yeah, Invisible Woman is another good one. He gets what is that? He's got some weird synergy with specifically Sue, and it can be on either side of the field too, which is a weird thing that normally doesn't happen. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Lots of stuff you can do with him. I think that Commander should probably be putting Doom on defense, unless, well, actually no, because we saw some pretty low value teams out of his 14. So actually, he probably needs this on offense. So for him, I think that's probably a good spot. Striker's the way to go. I don't know if Raider is even a thing people are thinking about. You know, this Raider conversation about overall damage is more. I think definitely on offense, he should be a striker, because on offense, you have more control over who you're attacking and you can double tap into them, into vulnerables and stuff. On defense, Raider might actually be an option, but I haven't tested that. I have no idea. I literally just thought of that idea now, and I don't know if it's a good one or not. So, you know, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think of that idea. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Here is a team that I am enjoying playing with. I'm not sure how much value Commander is going to have out of this team with Magic being so low powered. This team takes a long time to wind up, even with the extra charges. This Uncanny team is tough to get going. However, once you get the proper T4s in them and the gear, you get them up over 400 or 500k, they can kind of wreck shop on a lot of mid-tier and older meta teams. Like, they can take down some pretty big mercs because of the mercs targeting priority. You usually have a big Phoenix and they go after Phoenix first, and that's what you want. There's some other, if you have the proper T4s in them, they punch across easily on Black Order, which is kind of cool. So I'm enjoying this team on offense. Have you built this team at all?
No, my Magic is at level 1, but Stocky and chat, I have seen this as well. They work pretty well against the Inhuman Coulson. That's something I've seen a lot going around on videos too.
Yep, yeah. So it's a useful team. I think that Magic was a gift to the OG players, because if you didn't already have this team kind of built, it's just not worth the investment of bringing in Magic. Building Magic, because you'd have to build the entire team out. So for people who already had this team up and running, it's like, here, we'll let this team be good again. So thank you, Scopely, because I had a pretty decent Uncanny team, and so I went ahead and built Magic, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Inhumans Coulson hybrid, yes, I'm gonna have to try that one out. I've been working on the other two for now, but I'm gonna try that one out in this war. Let's see, we need to get some ISOs on her, of course, but obviously she's pretty squishy as is. The other thing is Storm is squishy too. You need to get Storm built up. If Storm dies, oh man, it sucks. I use her special. It sucks that her special only has a 50% chance of keeping the charges. That's unfortunate, but having those stuns really helps this team survive long enough to get to those big AoE attacks with Phoenix, to make it to her ultimate on the next turn. Even if she doesn't have the charges, then there's a case to be made that maybe you save certain attacks with Magic, use her special with only 3 or 4 charges on it, and then come back around, you know, then use her ultimate. And there's different attack priorities that you can try. But I think, honestly, almost playing this team like it's on auto is about the way you should do it. Sometimes there's some different things that happen with Colossus, so you might want to skip his ultimate and go to his special. But for the most part, it's just whatever attack is available to you. Use the biggest one, usually. Pretty good team. The ISOs, remember guys, they don't carry over on Phoenix. It's just the stat boost that you get from putting the ISOs in. So doesn't really matter which ISO you make her. There was a Striker Skirmisher combo that people like to try and do with these, but I think Raider's probably a good choice for Storm. Other people like Skirmisher level 5 on her, but I don't think she needs the focus boost. You're already going through an RNG of whether things are gonna hit or not, and her kit gives her so much focus that I don't think that's necessary. I think Raider's the way to go for the big crit damage. I think Colossus should be a Skirmisher if you have the T4s in him, Fortifier if you don't. The T4s in him give him lots of counters, makes him come back and apply vulnerables, and that's pretty good. If you don't have the T4s in him or he's not built up very much, you should probably go Fortifier to make him a little bit tougher. I mean, he's taking lots of hits and he needs to survive to keep the rest of the team alive. And let's see. Yeah, I think Striker over here is okay. There's a case to be made with Raider, and then Striker on Magic for her double tap on the basic is probably the way to go there. Moving on. Weapon X. Here we go. Do you have a Weapon X?
I do. Lady Deathstrike was my first G16 for the tech lane, and I love her. She's so amazing.
You know, I like her too. I do that. If you can get, so in like tech lanes, I go in with a Nebula, place a vulnerable where I need it, and then I go in with her on her special. And so she rewinds turn meters and then double taps again and applies defense down. And then Kestrel can go and proc off of that defense down. It's a great little opening maneuver in the tech lanes of Raid. I think she is a fantastic character. She's very dodgy and has great damage and great bleeds. So yeah, I agree. I think she's actually a really good choice for tech. Although, who knows? Maybe the rumors about our Power Armor 2.0 is going to be true, and we'll get that team. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what the overlords decide.
Yeah, right. If they're going to just yank that, come up with something else. Let's see. We've got Skirmisher over here. That's correct. Raider or Striker on Wolverine is a good choice. Raider is 100% here. Skirmisher. I like her as a Striker. I don't like her as a Skirmisher. I think she should be a Striker for that same reason I just talked about, coming back in and applying the defense down on someone who has bleeds that she can apply herself. And then Striker or Skirmisher on Omega Red. This Omega Red is big enough. You don't need Skirmisher. Oh wait, actually no, that's the opposite. If your Omega Red is really big, sometimes he gets ability blocked. If that's the case, you want to make him a Skirmisher and go into the Misty Knight on the Heroes for Hire team with his special and ability block Misty Knight before she takes her turn. That way he doesn't get ability blocked, and you can then use his ultimate and end that match.
Yep.
I don't know. Is there anything else?
Shang-Chi's. Beware.
Yes.
Shang-Chi's. He will take out the rest of your team.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because you do have a pretty wonky power level, doesn't he? He's got 130, 60, 40, 60, 50. Yeah, a big Shang-Chi's going to wipe this team out. So you might have to, with this team, you might have to ability block Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
to make that happen.
First unlocked all of them. I didn't have them all quite built, but I had my Omega Red built. Mm-hmm. And Shang-Chi one-shot my whole team except for Omega Red.
Don't you just hate that Heroes for Hire team? That's why I built my team up big, because it was the same thing when like the Marauders came out and the Asgardians came out. I did not like these war defense teams, and so I would just build the counters immediately and go after them. Yeah, okay. I don't think there's much you can do different here other than if you want to change that ISO, if you want to change this ISO. I definitely think you should change her to a Striker. I don't like her as a Skirmisher. I think you're going to get plenty of vulnerables on the team with his Raider and crits and stuff, and him counterattacking. You'll have plenty of vulnerables out there to work off of. I think you should make her a Striker. Let's go to the next one. Infinity Watch. Let's see. He went all Strikers except for Nebula as the Skirmisher, and Healer over here. Another choice would be all Strikers and Skirmisher on Nebula is one thing that you can do. Make Adam Warlock War Ready. What's going on there? That's a good tune. He's got lots of value elsewhere. So, I don't know. Is there anything you want to say about this team?
Yeah, I agree on Adam Warlock. I mean, considering DD5, I mean, most of us aren't going to be through that in a year. So, I mean, there will be other legendaries, so you might not need him for that. But right now, he's probably one of the top options for that too.
Yeah, and with stuns and ability block, he offers a lot of control. Just, you know, you never know. Well, I don't know. In my Mystic lanes, my Mystic team basically autos that new Warriors and Eternals. It just absolutely auto. And sometimes the other team doesn't even take a turn. So I doubt I ever need Adam Warlock as a backup, but I do have an entire Mystic backup team because I built, you know, Maw and Thanos and Adam Warlock and Doom, etc. And so I do have an entire backup team for if that team folds, but they just never seem to fold. So something to do if you don't have access to the Eternals, if you don't have access to new Warriors, try to get Adam Warlock. He provides so much control in those raid lanes and stuff. Otherwise, this is still a good team. I mean, they beat almost everything in the game, and it's a great war offense team. It's a stubborn war defense team. I end up using my Infinity Watch to beat your Infinity Watch, is what often happens. So yeah, the reason a lot of people make her a striker also, even though her damage isn't bad, that's Moon Knight, is because in the arena, a lot of times you would need her to come back after clearing a death proof. The enemy has 1 hit point and they're still alive, and you need her to come back and finish that off. And so people would make her a striker for that. She still has okay damage. She's just a little slow. And compared to the rest of this team, she's not very good at all. But compared to the rest of the game, she's still a great character. Also good in, what is it, skill? Is it? Yeah, she's good in skill lanes and stuff, I believe. So. Okay, next up we have, and this is a weird one here. So we've got the Uncanny X-Men with Black Bolt and Yo-Yo. I have no idea what's going on here. Can you explain this one to me? I mean, I know that there's
nothing that I could come up with to say it
right?
Makes sense.
Right, I've seen this done with symbiotes because she applies the offense down, which is a negative buff, which helps heal the symbiotes. And then they have combos he can clear with her, the Striker Skirmisher combo and stuff. Calls that assist and things. But really, I think this is just maybe trying to give the team a little bit of life, you know, keep them alive with her, because there's no protectors on this team. Bishop is a blaster, not a protector, even though he taunts. And yeah, that's true. And so she does her offense down, helping keep the team alive. And then he's just, I don't know, pinging people to help clear them off. I'm curious what commander uses this team to attack into, because you're going to see a team coming up here that has a very, very specific use. So I know that commander is actually building these for specific uses. But I'm curious as to what this one is for. What was that?
There's too many strikers.
Yes, too many strikers. Yeah. I actually run my Jubilee as a striker and my Bishop as a striker, and I'm okay with that. I wish I had gone Skirmisher on Jubilee, but I'm okay with that. But I run the rest of the team as Skirmishers. That'd be the true Uncanny team, not a hybrid like this. So I'm very curious what's going on here. I think that it wouldn't hurt to get rid of these two and go ahead and build up the straight Uncanny team. They're so useful in raids. Might as well build the whole team. And then use them, and then you could use Black Bolt and Yo-Yo for those specific defenses, like the Coulson defense, the Inhuman Coulson defense. You could use them on offense to clean up those stubborn Hydra teams, things like that, or clean up on an H4H team. If there's only 1 or 2 people left on the field, Black Bolt can come in there and kill them without them reviving. So there's lots of uses for that. I think this is just a weird pick unless there's something I'm missing. I don't know what he's attacking into, so I'm curious about that. So I'll have to hear back from him on that one. All right, let's go. And this is another one. I don't know what's going on here. Right? Isn't this weird? Where's Deathpool?
Yeah.
Why is Star-Lord in here? Star-Lord doesn't even have any ISOs.
One thing for that is he might say he'll go before Dagger, right? So I'm assuming that he's giving the energy to Dagger so she can ult.
Yep, because he has her adjacent to her without anybody else. So that's what I was thinking. Either that, or he's applying a blind and spreading it with Hela. But why would you do that when you have Cloak, who puts blinds out there anyway? And so I think you're right.
That level isn't going to blind anybody anyway.
You're right. Yeah, it's just the kit then. He's just using it for his kit. That's a good move. That's actually a good move, using it for his kit. But I still don't understand why he doesn't have Deathpool in here.
Yeah,
that's weird to me.
That one's a confusing one to me too.
Yeah. So Deathpool is being replaced by Hela for spreading those negative effects, and Hela does go after Cloak, but he could put Loki in here and make Cloak go before Deathpool. So it is kind of weird.
And Loki with the new Warriors, because Deathpool has a spread too. So I don't know what the point of Hela there is.
Yeah, I think he's using Deathpool on. I don't remember. I'll have to think. He showed me his defensive picks. All right, so this is kind of wonky, but it's got. I do like that he's thinking about this and using this weird synergy. He's not investing anything in Star-Lord. He doesn't need to, because he's just getting that point of energy, which is going to happen at any level as long as he's got the right T4s in that. It goes to Dagger, and then Dagger can alt turn 1. So that's actually kind of cool. I kind of like that, actually. I don't know what. I mean, Hela's a replacement for Deathpool. I think it's a subpar replacement, but okay. Next up, here is the team. This is a weird one. This is a turn meter rewind team for defeating Eternals. What's cool about this team is you don't have to have a hefty investment. It uses mostly garbage, and all your heavy work is done by Kestrel. What happens is you take Coulson's basic and go into Icarus. That rewinds his turn meter. You have Fury gives speed up to this whole team. Emma is slowing down the other team. And then you have Namor that does a 50% turn meter rewind on the entire team. Basically, the Eternals and friends don't get to take a turn while Kestrel beats the crap out of them. It's like this four-man team just holds them to the ground, and Kestrel just comes up and stomps on them. So it's a really cool team. It's got a very specific use. I'm not sure if it's worth it to kind of, not neuter, but take away a lot of the value of that Secret Avengers with Kestrel team. But if Commander is having a lot of Eternals pop up in his defense, in his opposing team's defense, then maybe this is something to do. Have you ever seen this team or used it?
I haven't seen it or used it. If it works, it's definitely interesting. My concern would be if Kestrel can't take down Icarus, he's just gonna blow you up. I mean, she's gonna have to kill him completely before he takes a turn. So that's, depending on the size of the Icarus and Cersei, it could certainly be feasible.
Yeah, well, she gets a defense down on him, and then a lot of these tunes do have an attack that will proc Kestrel, and she tends to take down those Eternals pretty well. I mean, you're not gonna. Well, he's got 146 power on her. She's probably gonna be able to handle anything in the game. Maybe there might be some bigger ones that can outdo it. But the amount of turn meter rewind and slowing and defense downs and stuff like that, it usually works. I believe Mobile Gamer showed this off a month or two ago. Of how it works. The only thing is, if the Eternals have any speed member speeding them up, that's Emma, Cable, Loki, or even Nick Fury on an AI team might even get to his no, he wouldn't get to his special. I think he'd be okay. If they have any of those three speed members speeding them up, it makes this really tricky. So you don't want to go into that if they have a Speed Eternals team up. It's only an Eternals plus standard characters who are kind of slow. So it's a cool team. It's a fun team to use. It's one that doesn't require much investment, and you get a lot of value out of it. So I highly recommend people play around with this team, try it out, see if it works. Crofty says it doesn't counter big Icaruses. It's a soft counter. So Icarus would cleanse below half hit points and then wreck house. Yeah, he does cleanse, but the thing is, Crofty, he just never gets to take a turn, is the thing. So it's all about speed. If you can just keep them from ever taking a turn, then you're gonna win. But it's challenging to do that. That 50% turn meter rewind with Namor is really good. So it's interesting. That's it. That's our last one. Okay. Pathfinder, did you want to talk about anything else? Did you have any questions about war or anything that you wanted to that have come your way that you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm good.
No. Okay. Well, that's it. Thanks everybody for joining us. I don't have a nifty outro or anything, so I don't know. Best of luck in matchmaking to you, Commanders, I guess. We'll see you next time. All right, bye.